Yes! Greatest news ever. I finally have a date, which is awesome. It's kick butt, Rad. But my date informs me that it's a formal event. Enter freakout mode. Formal events for me are pretty difficult to navigate as a low income person of color. They are um, not my worst nightmare, but definitely in the top five list of things that I do not enjoy navigating. Clothing for me is pretty difficult. Preoperatively and postoperatively, formal wear has always been something that has just kind of ruined me and made me feel awful, and I always feel constrained and confined and constricted and on display even at times as a person of color, either on display how well I look in formal wear because it's a novelty for non-people of color to see someone, being like executive realness, looking, really put together and sharp and, tailored and all sorts of things like that. Or I'm an example of how, people of color can't show up in the ways that non-people of color can. So I definitely always feel scrutinized at formal events based on, my class and my race. Not even necessarily my gender status as a trans person, but class and race for sure at formal events are like what induces the nail biting and the freak out. Beyond that, I would say clothing. What am I going to wear? I don't have a lot of formal options. I'm really kind of just a working class blue jeans and t shirt and dirty, messed up shoes kind of guy. Um, I don't know, formal, ugh, God, even talking about it is making me anxious. Um, Being in formal settings is always a bit awkward. There's usually conversations around either political topics or social topics or, even things like getting to know you questions that are really kind of almost inherently classist without intending to be. Where did you go to school? What do you do for a job? Or what are your hobbies? These are things that I come sometimes get into combos with, and they're just nerve wracking and awkward, and there's no polite way to be like, I'm too poor to talk about any of this, or I didn't finish school because I didn't have the money to. And so going to a formal event for me would almost be a deal breaker in terms of meeting up with someone for a date because it would just cause so much strain on my bank account. I'd have to pay for an Uber there and back. I'd have to pay for maybe a taxi to get home. I'd have to possibly pay for dinner and not be able to do that. So yeah, I would definitely struggle with being asked to a formal event on a date with even the babeliest person on the planet.